Have you ever imagined that behind the grandeur of the world's stadium stages, there are incredibly strict rules that bind the biggest pop icons of the century? These aren't mere speculative lies, but real protocols that sacrifice their freedom for global security. What are these absolute prohibitions? Let's uncover the facts. Number 10, the absolute ban on unscheduled hotel room livestreams, RM. It sounds like a minor restriction, but for the members of BTS, this is a non-negotiable directive enforced by HYBE's global security operations. When the group travels during massive world tours, such as the Arirang World Tour, their exact lodging locations are classified as high-level corporate secrets. Historically, impromptu live streams from hotel rooms, intended as raw, casual interactions with fans, inadvertently leaked critical geographic data. Savvy internet users and obsessive stalkers, known as sasaengs, routinely cross-referenced headboards, wallpaper patterns, window reflections, and electrical outlets to pinpoint the exact hotel and room number within minutes. This triggered massive security breaches, leading to overcrowded lobbies, compromised floor security, and extreme physical exhaustion for the members. For instance, Member V publicly shared data from his sleep tracker showing he managed only 2 hours and 27 minutes of sleep due to the persistent anxiety and noise caused by unauthorized crowds loitering outside his private lodgings. Under the current, strictly enforced tour protocol, the agency has instituted a total ban on uncoordinated, live broadcasting from individual hotel rooms unless the background is entirely neutralized, masked, or approved by the accompanying security detail. Any interaction with the global fanbase via platforms like Weverse must adhere to rigid spatial guidelines to ensure that the room's layout remains completely unidentifiable. This protocol is not born out of a desire to muzzle the artists, but as a direct defensive mechanism against coordinated stalking and systemic privacy invasion. By eliminating spontaneous environmental exposure, the security apparatus successfully mitigates the risk of hotel blockades, keeping the location secure and allowing the members the mandatory physical recovery time required to endure a grueling stadium schedule. The stakes are simply too high to risk a single frame of leaked video. Number 9, the ironclad prohibition on accepting physical fan gifts, Jimin. This directive represents one of the most drastic structural shifts in how the group interacts with their global audience during massive stadium runs. In the early years of their career, receiving plushies, custom clothing, and high-end luxury items directly from fans at the stage barricades or through venue staff was a staple of the K-pop experience. However, as the group's global footprint expanded exponentially, Big Hit Entertainment, now HYBE, was forced to implement a sweeping, absolute ban on all physical gifts, officially adjusting corporate policy to permit only handwritten letters. During intensive international tours, this corporate regulation transforms into a high-stakes security protocol enforced rigorously by the accompanying security detail. When the members perform at massive venues, the temptation to interact closely with the front-row crowd and accept custom-made items or tokens of appreciation is immensely high, particularly for members known for their deep fan affection. Yet, the corporate mandate leaves zero room for flexibility. Members are strictly forbidden from taking any physical object directly from a fan's hands over the barricade or off the stage floor. The underlying reasons for this seemingly harsh restriction are grounded entirely in severe logistical realities, security vulnerabilities, and corporate compliance. Logistically, transporting tons of physical items across multiple international borders during a tightly packed touring schedule is an administrative nightmare that disrupts customs clearances and compromises cargo weight limitations. More critically, the security apparatus views unvetted physical objects as high-level liabilities. In the modern entertainment landscape, small electronic tracking devices, hidden recording equipment, or chemically compromised items disguised as innocent gifts present an existential threat to the artist's safety. If a member instinctively reaches for a handmade item thrown onto the stage or handed over a barrier, security personnel are trained to immediately intervene or retrieve the item for disposal, ensuring it never enters the inner perimeter of the tour bubble. This protocol creates a profound emotional paradox. The artists must actively ignore the tangible expressions of love from the very people who built their global empire, prioritizing clinical corporate safety over spontaneous human connection. The enforcement is flawless, transparent, and unyielding, proving that even a harmless token of gratitude can be deemed a threat when you are operating at the absolute peak of global stardom. But as strict as the physical boundaries are on stage, the restrictions governing their movement outside the venue walls are even more unforgiving. Number 8. The draconian prohibition on unescorted solo public outings, v. For an artist who thrives on visual inspiration, architectural photography, and the sensory experience of exploring global cities, the absolute restriction placed on individual movement during an international stadium tour is perhaps one of the most psychologically taxing regulations enforced by HYBE. When BTS initiates a massive global undertaking, such as their high-stakes Arirang World Tour traversing major metropolitan hubs across Europe, the Americas, and Asia, the physical security perimeter established around the members acts as a gilded cage. Officially, the agency enforces a strict corporate protocol that bans any member from leaving the pre-secured tour bubble, encompassing the designated hotel floors, private transport vehicles, and venue backstage areas, without a pre-approved, multi-layered security detail and a meticulously vetted itinerary. This means that spontaneous desires to take a quiet midnight walk in London, grab a casual coffee at a street-side cafe in Madrid, or visit a local restaurant in Paris are completely prohibited under standard operational procedures. The operational reality behind this ban is entirely logical yet incredibly severe. The moment a global icon of this magnitude steps into the public square unescorted, the risk of a flash mob forming is nearly 100%. The resulting chaos not only threatens the physical safety of the artist but also creates massive municipal liabilities, blocks public thoroughfares, and stretches local law enforcement thin. The gravity of this restriction was explicitly brought to light during the European leg of the tour, when V took to the online fan platform Weverse to address the immense toll this lack of freedom takes on his physical and mental well-being. In a rare, deeply candid moment, he expressed how precious the simple act of quietly walking the streets of foreign cities and experiencing local culinary culture is to him, yet explained that the hyperfixation of crowds loitering outside private lodgings completely strips the group of these basic human liberties. To underscore the severity of the situation, he shared a precise screenshot of his personal biometric sleep tracker, revealing that he had managed to secure only 2 hours and 27 minutes of total sleep, with a mere 14% of REM sleep and 25% of deep sleep, due to the persistent noise, anxiety, and psychological confinement resulting from compromised privacy. When hundreds of unauthorized individuals gather outside a hotel or shadow their suspected movements, the security apparatus immediately locks down all exits, effectively trapping the members inside their suites. HYBE's legal and security teams treat these unauthorized gatherings not as enthusiastic fan behavior, but as active security breaches, mobilizing local courts to hand out suspended prison sentences and probations to trespassers. Every single step outside the hotel must be run through a rigid chain of command, involving advanced scouting teams who analyze the structural layouts of restaurants, secure private entrances, and coordinate directly with local police details hours in advance. If the risk assessment matrix yields even a minor margin of unpredictable crowd accumulation, the outing is instantly cancelled by the management staff, forcing the artist to remain isolated within the confines of room service and sanitized environments. This creates an intense emotional weight, while performing in front of 80,000 screaming fans inside a stadium delivers an unparalleled adrenaline rush. The immediate aftermath consists of absolute isolation behind reinforced glass and heavy curtains, unable to step onto the pavement outside without triggering a corporate security intervention. The restriction proves that at this level of global fame, the world is something to be viewed strictly from a distance, as the infrastructure required to protect their lives simultaneously limits their ability to live them. Yet, while their physical movement on the streets is micromanaged to the second, what they put into their bodies behind those closed doors is subject to an even more clinical level of corporate surveillance. Number 7. The strict prohibition on live broadcasting while consuming unvetted alcohol, Jungkook. This regulation targets the intersection of spontaneous artistic expression and high-risk brand exposure during intense international tours. Historically, the group's youngest member pioneered a remarkably intimate style of late-night broadcasting, frequently hosting hours-long, unscripted live streams where he comfortably interacted with tens of millions of fans while casually enjoying premium beers, whiskey, or wine in his downtime. While these raw, authentic moments deeply humanized the global superstar, they simultaneously triggered massive corporate anxieties within HYBE's risk management division due to unpredictable variables and immense public scrutiny. During extensive global stadium runs, where physical stamina must remain at absolute peak efficiency and corporate sponsorships are locked into multi-million-dollar contracts, the agency has formalized an unyielding policy. Members are strictly prohibited from appearing live on camera while consuming unvetted or clearly branded alcoholic beverages. The operational logic behind this restriction is twofold, addressing both corporate compliance and psychological vulnerability. First, the accidental display of an unvetted alcohol brand on a global stream can instantly violate exclusive, region-specific commercial contracts, triggering severe legal penalties and financial liabilities for the parent company. Second, and far more critically, the unpredictable nature of alcohol consumption combined with the intense fatigue of touring creates a high-risk environment for unscripted statements or accidental behavioral slips that global media outlets instantly weaponize. The gravity of this corporate guardrail became undeniably evident during a highly publicized Weverse livestream originating from a tour stop, where Jungkook openly engaged with fans while consuming alcohol, an event that eventually required a formal public clarification regarding his behavior and past personal choices. In the hyper-reactive ecosystem of K-pop journalism, even a completely harmless, relaxed comment made under the influence of extreme fatigue and a single drink can be distorted into a damaging viral narrative within seconds, threatening the pristine public image that underpins a billion-dollar touring infrastructure. To mitigate this systemic vulnerability, HYBE's tour compliance teams require that any broadcast involving food or beverage undergo strict visual screening, ensuring all labels are meticulously stripped, obscured, or substituted with pre-approved options. If a member wishes to wind down after an exhausting 3-hour stadium performance, they must do so entirely behind closed doors, completely disconnected from the digital space, as the agency refuses to gamble its global market stability on the unpredictable nature of a live, unscripted camera feed. This clinical enforcement effectively severs a unique, emotional bridge between the artist and the audience, proving that as global fame scales up, the boundaries of personal authenticity must be rigidly managed to survive the relentless pressure of the spotlight. Yet, the control over what the members broadcast online is merely a reflection of the even tighter controls placed on the physical equipment they utilize backstage. Number 6. The strict enforcement against non-sponsored device exposure, SUGA. This operational restriction highlights the immense commercial pressures and multi-million-dollar corporate alignments that dictate every public action of the group while on tour. For years, BTS has maintained a massive, globally binding brand partnership with technology giant Samsung, serving as the primary faces for their flagship Galaxy smartphones. During international stadium tours, where thousands of cameras capture every movement and official documentary crews film behind-the-scenes footage constantly, the agency enforces a zero-tolerance policy regarding the public exposure of competitor technology, specifically Apple's iPhone. This corporate mandate is so rigidly integrated into their tour operations that members must actively audit their personal environments before any broadcast, media appearance, or fan interaction to ensure no rival logos are visible. The absolute severity of this contractual enforcement became highly publicized during Suga's solo August D-Day World Tour, where he transformed a strict corporate rule into a viral concert dynamic. While interacting with the crowd during the soundcheck and encore segments, moments where artists traditionally grab fans' phones to take close-up selfies, Suga explicitly and repeatedly announced to the stadium audience that he would absolutely not touch or accept any device unless it was a Samsung Galaxy. He walked along the barricades, visually inspecting the smartphones held out by desperate fans, openly declaring, "If you offer me a phone, please give me only Galaxy, no iPhone," showcasing how deeply ingrained this corporate boundary is in their daily touring performance. Behind this lighthearted stage interaction lies a high-stakes legal reality. A single accidental frame of a global icon holding a competitor's product can trigger massive breach of contract penalties, jeopardize multi-year corporate relationships, and devalue corporate sponsorships worth tens of millions of dollars. HYBE's compliance teams and floor managers strictly police the backstage areas, ensuring that any personal devices used by staff or artists are completely obscured, covered with neutral cases, or kept entirely out of sight of any public-facing lenses. The restriction demonstrates that at the pinnacle of the music industry, an artist's hands are not entirely their own, as corporate allegiances dictate even the smallest micro-interactions with the fans who fill the stadiums. While managing global tech compliance keeps the corporate lawyers satisfied, an even more sensitive protocol governs how the members handle sudden medical emergencies under the intense physical strain of the tour. Number 5. The absolute ban on self-administering unvetted performance medications, HYBE. This operational restriction targets the physical core of the group's grueling world tours, where maintaining peak athletic conditioning is a multi-million-dollar necessity. During intense stadium runs, the physical toll on the human body is catastrophic. HYBE, as the main dancer and dance leader, routinely faces extreme joint inflammation, muscle fatigue, and acute dehydration. However, under strict HYBE tour compliance rules, members are absolutely prohibited from self-medicating or taking any unvetted pharmaceutical products, supplements, or pain relievers without the direct oversight of the accompanying sports medicine team. The operational logic behind this is incredibly severe. Accidental consumption of a banned substance could spark massive international legal complications, while improper self-medication risks masking serious injuries that could lead to permanent physical damage or sudden stage collapses. Every single pill, therapeutic injection, or specialized recovery supplement must be logged, tested, and administered directly by the agency's certified medical staff within the secure backstage perimeter. This strict medical surveillance creates a highly controlled, clinical environment where an artist cannot even manage their own pain independently, ensuring that their physical health remains a corporate asset protected from unpredictable variables. This total elimination of personal medical autonomy proves that the body of a global pop icon is treated with the exact same clinical precision as a high-performance Formula One vehicle. Yet, while their internal physical health is meticulously monitored by medical experts, their immediate external safety is protected by an equally unyielding border control protocol. Number 4. The strict prohibition on leaving the venue pre-show for local dining, HYBE. This strict protocol governs the hours leading up to a massive stadium performance, directly impacting the oldest members' well-known passion for exploring local culinary traditions while traveling. During international tour legs, the group's schedule is planned down to the minute, but the restriction banning members from leaving the venue once they have arrived for soundcheck is absolute. No matter how much Gene wishes to try an authentic, highly rated local dish in a host city, he is strictly forbidden from exiting the secure backstage perimeter to visit a restaurant or even have unvetted food delivered directly to his dressing room. The operational reasons are clinical, food safety and timing. The risk of sudden food poisoning, allergic reactions, or gastrointestinal distress from an unvetted local kitchen could instantly force the cancellation of a show, costing millions of dollars in venue fees, insurance claims, and fan disappointment. Furthermore, the logistical nightmare of securing a restaurant on short notice without leaking the location to local crowds makes spontaneous dining impossible. Instead, HYBE employs dedicated, vetted catering teams and specialized chefs who travel with the tour bubble, prepared to replicate local flavors in a highly sanitized, controlled backstage environment. This ensures the artists remain physically fueled and safe, but it strips away any chance of experiencing the authentic local culture of the countries they visit, transforming legendary culinary cities into mere views from a dressing room window. But while their dietary intake is kept under lock and key, the digital footprint they leave behind backstage is monitored with even greater intensity. Number 3. The strict prohibition on connecting to public or unverified venue Wi-Fi networks, BTS. This digital directive highlights the hidden, high-tech warfare fought by HYBE's cybersecurity division to protect the group's multi-million-dollar intellectual property while they are on the move. During massive global tours, the threat of digital espionage is exceptionally high, with malicious actors, competitive entities, and extreme internet hackers constantly targeting the local wireless networks of stadiums, airports, and luxury hotels where the group is known to reside. The primary objective of these cyber adversaries is to intercept data packets, infiltrate personal devices, and illegally obtain unreleased music tracks, private communications, confidential tour itineraries, or exclusive behind-the-scenes video footage that could be sold for exorbitant sums on the black market or leaked to destabilize the agency's market valuation. To neutralize this invisible threat, HYBE enforces an ironclad protocol that strictly forbids any member from connecting their smartphones, tablets, or laptops to any public, hotel, or unvetted venue Wi-Fi network under any circumstances. Instead, the entire traveling entourage operates within a strictly controlled digital quarantine, utilizing encrypted, military-grade mobile hotspots and proprietary virtual private networks managed day and night by an accompanying team of corporate IT security experts. This protocol is so rigidly policed that if a device accidentally auto-connects to an unsecured network, it must immediately be handed over to the tech detail for a comprehensive forensic audit to ensure no spyware, malware, or data tracking cookies were covertly injected into the operating system. This absolute digital lockdown serves as a stark reminder that for the world's biggest musical act, a single compromised data packet can inflict catastrophic financial and reputational damage, proving that the digital boundaries protecting their empire are just as heavily fortified as the concrete walls of the stadiums they fill. Yet, while keeping their data hidden in the digital cloud requires absolute vigilance, managing their physical visibility during transit demands an even more ruthless level of corporate planning. Number 2, the ironclad prohibition on altering approved airport transit routines, HYBE. This directive targets the highly volatile and dangerous environment of international airport terminals, which serve as the primary geographical bottlenecks during global stadium tours. Historically, the group's arrivals and departures at major transit hubs have triggered unprecedented logistical chaos, characterized by thousands of fans collapsing temporary barriers, overwhelming local airport police, and creating life-threatening stampedes. To mitigate these extreme operational risks, HYBE's Global Security Division enforces a strict corporate protocol that strips the members of any autonomy regarding their movement through airports. Once a transit route, whether utilizing a standard VIP line, a private tarmac exit, or a specialized underground terminal, is formally negotiated with local port authorities and advanced security teams, the members are absolutely forbidden from altering the routine, slowing down to interact with crowds, or deviating from the physical escort pocket. HYBE, whose immense personal popularity frequently attracts exceptionally aggressive crowds of fans and paparazzi, faces the full weight of this restriction, regardless of how deeply he may wish to pause, wave, or acknowledge the dedicated supporters who have waited hours behind the barriers. The accompanying security detail is contractually mandated to keep him in continuous, rapid forward motion. The clinical reality behind this ban is calculated to the second. Any unexpected pause or deviation from the pre-planned security corridor disrupts the synchronized timing of the armored transport convoy waiting outside, creates an immediate opening for aggressive individuals to breach the perimeter, and heightens the psychological distress of the artists who are forced to navigate these intense human walls. By enforcing a rigid, zero-tolerance policy against spontaneous fan engagement during transit, the agency prioritizes systemic crowd control and physical preservation over public relations, transforming what used to be an emotional homecoming into a highly clinical, militarized security maneuver designed purely for survival. Yet, while their physical transit through international borders is managed with absolute administrative coldness, the final and most restrictive boundary of the tour governs the sanctity of the actual performance stage itself. Number 1, the absolute ban on unvetted stage extensions and spontaneous fan contact, BTS. This represents the ultimate operational restriction enforced during their monumental global stadium runs, directly dictating what happens on the actual performance stage. During massive tours like the Arirang World Tour, every single inch of the stage structure, including the main stage, the extended thrusts, the B stages, and the specific pathways along the barricades, is structurally engineered and meticulously mapped out by safety inspectors and logistics teams. Under HYBE's strict tour compliance rules, members are completely prohibited from deviating from the pre-approved choreography blocking to jump into the crowd, climb onto unvetted security barriers, or run into areas of the venue that have not been dynamically cleared by the head of security. The operational reality behind this absolute lockdown is cold and absolute. A single spontaneous decision to step off the designated stage can instantly trigger a localized crowd surge, compromise the integrity of the front row barriers, or put the artist within physical reach of highly aggressive or unpredictable individuals. While early hip-hop and rock traditions thrived on the raw energy of stage diving and unscripted crowd interaction, a global entity of this magnitude simply cannot gamble with physical safety. If a member attempts to step outside the designated safe zones, the floor management and stage security are trained to immediately guide them back or physically block the path, treating any deviation not as a moment of artistic passion, but as a severe operational hazard. This final, unyielding guardrail highlights the ultimate paradox of global superstardom. At the very peak of their creative power and cultural influence, standing before 80,000 screaming fans, the lines they cannot cross are drawn deeper than ever before.